Hey, this is Tanner from Interstate Guns. I'm here today to talk about long range shooting. Let's get into it. So, long range shooting, what defines that? It's going to be a little different from your typical hunting deer in Louisiana. It's going to be a little further than 200-300 yards, even maybe further than your pipeline shooting. What I would say the practical applications for long range would be either hunting out west or somewhere with a little more range, or shooting competition, which is my personal favorite. Let's talk about fundamentals. At the basis of long range shooting comes practice. Now, you may want to start off with a caliber that's a little bit cheaper to run because you're going to be out there at the range or on the property as much as you can, learning your rifle and learning your scope. And practice comes before any of the gizmos and gadgets. So don't go out and just buy the best stuff right away. You want to get a feel for your reticle and scope and how all that works. So first off, I would say if you want to get into competition, go with a first focal plane scope with a magnification up to at least 20 power. In front of me, I have my personal gun, which I've spent a lot of time on. I've learned almost every aspect of the different parts to it and what they do. One critical feature is to have a mil reticle scope, because if you eventually get into competitions like PRS or NRL, you may be fortunate enough to have somebody on the stage in front of you and they'll call out, oh, that was a 2 mil hole to the left or right. You don't want to be there with a MOA scope and have to do the math. There's no time for that. You do want to learn your reticle and how to range with your reticle instead of relying on a rangefinder. That's a little more advanced, but if you want to get into the gizmos and gadgets and kind of have a cheat code, you can go with something like the Vortex Impact 4000 rangefinder. Which on mine, it mounts up right here. It also comes with a remote switch. And what that allows me to do is to stay on the scope. I can hit this switch and range my target. On the screen back here, it's going to give me a solution for elevation and windage. These systems can be very accurate, but you need to make sure that you get your zero dialed in precisely. Don't rush it. Now, since then, I've started shooting without it because I have learned my reticle and the BC of my bullet and exactly what my rifle does on any given day. And with that said, you'll see some trigger cam footage of me at the range shooting, and I basically know the holds for a variety of targets out there. And that makes for quick follow-up shots. So beyond using a rangefinder or some kind of ranging tool, we need to consider weather. Okay, shooting out at further distances, wind is going to affect your bullet travel and accuracy, barometric pressure, elevation. If you get out far enough, even curvature of the earth, we call that the Coriolis effect. So here's one key tool that all the pros and snipers use. It's called the Kestrel. And it has a little weather meter right here, a pressure meter. And once you learn to use this little tool, it's going to be your best friend. And once you capture the weather and get your bullet speed and everything, then it'll actually show a range card, which will be how many mils you need to hold for this distance, like 100, 200, 300, out to 1,000, or even further. Alternatively, if you like apps, you can use your phone and download the Applied Ballistics app, especially the new one called AB Quantum. I've used that several times and it's proven to be very accurate. It doesn't read weather quite like Kestrel manually, but if you have Wi-Fi out where you are, you can go in there and hit a button that will pull data from the internet at your exact location. So it'll have wind speed, temperature, humidity, pressure, and your elevation. And there's so many features on it. I haven't used every one yet. But it's really cool when you get in there and you can actually see a probability chart of you making the hit. In addition to gathering environmental data, you also want to get a really good chronograph. Now, I recommend the Garmin chronograph that we have here. What data you're going to get from this is the characteristics from your rifle. It can change a lot between rifle to rifle, even though it's the same caliber, because you can have different barrel lengths. Everything's going to act a little bit different. So getting that data on your bullet speed is going to be critical. It'll show you extreme dispersion, kind of the difference in velocity between rounds. So if you really want to get a consistent read, I would suggest getting rounds that are all producing the same lot. When you begin using the chronograph, go ahead and set it up when you're confirming your 0 or getting 0. So within the first 3 to 4 or 5 shots, you have a good average muzzle velocity that's going to display on this screen. And once you have that data, plug that into your Kestrel or your Applied Ballistics app, and that's going to be one of the final keys to having good results. Now, as far as inputting data, there's a rule that says if you put crap in, you're going to get crap out. So make sure to learn your devices and get the data. Now, once you've learned your rifle and you have everything dialed in, you've entered your data and you have good data out, a good thing to do is have a backup plan. So right here is a range card, and it's going to help you range with your reticle. And make sure you have a mil reticle, you get a mil range card, MOA reticle, MOA range card. So these come in handy in case, oh, I forgot the batteries. Oh, it's not charged. Oh, I left it at home, right? That happens to everybody. The range card I like to use is the one from Sobchak Security LLC. Now, the useful tool on this is you have a diagram of some different shapes and objects, and this will help you learn how to range with your reticle. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the IPSC target here, you measure it at 4.2, 4.3 mils high. So you measure from the bottom of that target to the top of it. And you move over on the graph, it says 500 yards. Now, assuming that you've done the homework and you know your rifle, you can look at a range card if you still have it, or go from memory and say, okay, 500 yards is a 4.5 mil hold. And then you have to test your theory and go for the shot. Another piece of tech that I just picked up that has proved very useful is a trigger cam. So what a trigger cam is, it's a camera system that slides right onto your scope, and it has an app. You can look at it on your phone and see the picture. We actually got some really cool footage recently out of the range. Not only is it fun to bring footage back from the hunt and share buds, you can use this from your hunt or from the shooting range to review footage as if you were reviewing sport footage to critique yourself and improve your skill. Now that I've bored you with all the technical details, let's go over some ergonomics and mechanics. So when you're at the shooting line, typically you're going to be doing this on bench rest. If you're trying to get everything dialed in, you want to have either a good bipod, which I left off here. This is from a previous setup. A good bipod or a shooting block in the front, a rear bag so that you can rest the butt of the rifle on it while maintaining a good hold on the buttstock and the grip. And then you can squeeze the bag to precisely change your elevation. Another consideration for ergonomics is if you plan on doing a competition like PRS where you're moving from barricade to barricade, it's different stages, maybe walking a little bit, don't get it weighed down too much. You want to try to go with a carbon barrel, or it's hard to get around weight, honestly. A good scope mount, that's probably about 7 pounds in itself. Another consideration is keeping your build somewhat light. If you want to run competitions, then there's going to be a weight limit per class. The way I did that here is I chose a carbon fiber barrel. This is a Proof Research 24-inch 6.5 Creedmoor. And that really helps take some of that front weight off the gun, and I can maneuver it a little bit better than I would my heavier bolt gun build. If you run PRS or NRL, you will be shooting off barricades in uncomfortable positions. I would typically run some kind of barricade stop right here so you're not slamming into your mag well and affecting your shot, or barricade stop right here. And on this guy, I have the irregular defense handguard and barricade stop. This is really convenient for dropping down and pushing up against a barricade, say a wooden sawhorse or a tank trap. So another piece of ergonomics to consider is a good hand grip that you're going to feel very secure using. There will be, not particularly on this rifle, but more like bolt gun precision, MPA, MDT chassis. They'll provide a thumb rest. And what this is going to help you do is keep a steady hold. You don't really want to grip, don't grip this grip like an AR or an old hunting rifle, because you're going to be putting more stress into it and you're going to have a shakier reticle. So keep that thumb off to your shooting side and be gentle with it, but still have a firm hold on your shoulder. Now let's talk about being courteous to your fellow range members. So looking at the muzzle, it's a wonderful idea to have a brake on that's going to reduce recoil and, make it a whole lot easier to get follow-up shots. I get it. But people understand the advantages, but they also get tired of feeling that pressure wave in their face. Or like, for instance, I've had somebody with a 7 BRC shooting right by me with a brake on, and it knocks over my soda and papers and everything whenever they shoot. And I'm starting to breathe all that toxic gas that comes back into the shoot house. An alternative to using a muzzle brake is going to be a suppressor. Now, if you haven't bought a suppressor yet, we have a whole lot of options at Intersight Guns, a whole lot of knowledge, and the tax stamps are now $0. So come on by. The suppressor that I went with for this build is the Huxworks 30 Ti. And I go with the flow through because I'm running a gas gun. AR-10s are very gassy, very dirty. I remember I had a traditional can on here. The first day I went out, I got through about 200 rounds, and then I could barely pull the bolt back anymore. We're so gunked up. A flow-through can may be a little bit louder, but it's really going to save you from having people stare at you with daggers. So in wrapping up this rifle build, I will say that it is my favorite. It took me quite a while to kind of save up and learn what works best with it and get it all pieced together. Now, if this comes along with learning your rifle and what ammo it likes, I am so pleased that I can just buy Hornady ELDX 143 grain off the shelf. And we have plenty of that at Interstate Guns. And now for something completely different. We have this crazy looking thing. This is my personal 16-inch 300 black bolt action rifle. It's a Christensen Scout. I do shoot long range with this, out to 1,000 yards with subsonic loads. This goes to show that you don't need around like 6.5 Creedmoor or 300 Win Mag necessarily to reach out to far distances. All it takes is learning your scope and how much elevation you need and a good bit of concentration. So on the LMT build that we just showed you, that scope was a zero compromise 4 to 20 power. Yes, 20 power is good enough to get out to 1,000 yards, but sometimes when you are shooting around that is not really meant to go that far, you want to use something like a 5 to 35. High power scopes are great for shooting long distance, especially if you have a smaller round or a less powerful round where you're not going to see your impact as well. And you want to be able to zoom in. Now, my shooting style is a little unconventional. I do holdovers almost all the time. When I'm shooting out to 800 to 1,000 yards, I literally I give it all the elevation I can, and then I still have to zoom out to 5 power to get enough elevation. And that just takes some time planking and seeing where your shots land. And it's actually really fun. It's almost more fun than the 6.5 Creedmoor. If you're just starting your long-range journey, you can either go with a fully custom build with a gunsmith, or you can go with something that is ready to go right off the shelf. So this bad boy is a SIG Cross and 300 Win Mag. We have this available at the shop. This SIG Cross is going to be a little bit different than your typical hunting rifle. It's geared more towards precision shooting. It has Picatinny rail already integrated, tons of M-LOK for accessories like rangefinders and bipods. It also incorporates a precision buttstock with adjustable comb and length of pull. It's very important to be able to adjust the ergonomics to you. One of my favorite features of this rifle and other precision rifles, modern sporting rifles, is the addition of an ARCA rail. Now, ARCA rails originally come from the photo industry for connecting to tripods, and now they've made their way to the shooting industry. This allows for a very quick setup if you want to use a tripod or some bipods that have ARCA attachments, rather than screwing something into the handrail and taking the time to adjust it. Now, if your rifle doesn't already have an ARCA rail built in, you can always buy those aftermarket or come by Interstate Guns and get one for yourself. They usually attach via M-LOK, so make sure your rifle has M-LOK slots available, and you can get some ranging from 3.5 inches all the way to like a foot long. ARCA rails are used in competitions quite a lot because you're going to be shooting off of different barricades, so you're not always going to have the perfect setup where you're at a bench and this is where you want your bipod all the way at the end. Sometimes you'll be shooting off of a plastic barrel and you want to bring that guy in closer. And ARCA rail really helps you make that smooth transition. All it is loosening a knob and pulling it back to where you want it and tightening it down. One of the top features of the SIG Cross rifle is the bolt action. And as you can see, there's a nice groove channel right here that the bolt rides on. One thing that I look for in bolt action rifles is sometimes you'll get one that really binds up when you're going from the end of travel and trying to advance it. This guy really does not have any trouble at all. It's a very smooth and consistent pull. You're also looking at the throw. It's not an extreme throw. You don't have to get off your gun and wrench it over, and you can have follow-up shots pretty quick. This is one of my favorite precision rifles in the shop because it is a 300 Win Mag. I used to have a custom-built 300 PRC competition rifle that shot really well. It had tons of energy downrange. Now, 300 PRC is very similar to 300 Win Mag. It's just some more modern cartridge. The 300 Win Mag will do almost everything that 300 PRC can. You can take this hunting anywhere in North America, fold the buttstock, put it in your bag, and hike out to your favorite spot. It is pretty lightweight for what it is. You can easily add scopes. This already has a very nice scope base on it. You just need to look for some rings. We're probably going to look at medium to high rings because you want to run a long scope on here with a big objective. Because this guy can go out well past 1,000 yards. If you're looking for a turnkey solution to get out to the range and practice precision shooting, this SIG Cross is available. We also have other platforms like the JP Enterprises AR-10. If you're looking for something that's a little more custom, we have a very knowledgeable staff. We can walk you through a process, answer any questions you have. We have distributors that we can get barrels, barreled actions from, stocks, chassis, and a recommended gunsmith if you want some more custom work done. If you like what you saw in this video, come on by Interstate Guns or give us a call. We'd be glad to help you out with any questions you have about rifle builds, what we have in stock, any of the products or tools that were featured in this video. And if you're looking for a range to practice your precision shooting on, I would recommend Roaming Shop Precision. It goes out to 1,000 yards. They have great staff, great resources, and they have air conditioning. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.